Director Morrell,
Here.
Director Randall,
Here.
Director Bender,
Here.
Vice President Laliotis,
Here.
President Finn.
Here. And on. Wow. Okay, off again. Pledge of Allegiance, shall we? Director Bender, why don't you lead tonight? You're way down there.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Brian, do we have any changes to the agenda this evening?
There are no changes this evening.
Very good, thank you. Public comments. So this is time that is set aside for the public to address the board on any item that is not on the agenda. But any items regarding agendized items will be addressed at that time. Do we have any public comment tonight? Seeing none. Moving on to director updates. Do we have any director updates tonight?
President Finn,
Yes.
I would like to note that we did receive one public comment through written portal. It has been the board's general policy not to read out those public comments in open session, but I wanted to note that those have been forwarded to the board for consideration.
And I would like to note for that person that I did in fact receive and read that email, and I will respond in an email form. Thank you, Brian, for pointing that out. Back to director updates. I see a director.
I do have an update. This was some weeks ago, maybe just after our first May board meeting, and there was some work being done on Northwoods Boulevard going up into Tahoe Dawn or past Trout Creek Rec Center. And I made a point to stop and introduce myself to the crew. They weren't exactly sure who I was. Who is this person stopping and walking kind of into their business? But I did introduce myself, and they got kind of a kick out of that. So I'm really appreciative of staff here and the work that they're doing and improvement in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Morrell. Do we have any other
No updates tonight, thank you.
updates? Very good.
None for me.
I know, I think we're all on at the same time. It does things. On off, right, exactly, on off. Thanks for the reminder. I don't have updates either tonight, just happy spring, go softball team. I know they're out there competing. So, next up is consent calendar. Do we have any public comment on consent tonight? None? Seeing none. Do we have any director comments or questions about consent tonight? No. Seeing none. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have some ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
All in favor, there we go. All
There
in
we go.
favor. I gotta get used to the verbiage. All in favor, all opposed? Okay, that sounded pretty unanimous. Which brings us to action item number 1 tonight, which is item number 9. Consideration of approval of a 2025 quarter 1 power cost adjustment, or PCA, of .0093 credit per kilowatt hour billed in June, July, and August, the next quarter coming up. And I see Mr. Salmon has a report for us. Great, all you.
Good evening, President Finn, members of the board. Action item number 9. This first slide is just, some of this may seem like you've seen it before, and you have. I just thought it'd be important to refresh everyone, particularly if someone's new to this particular item. It's important to reiterate a few points, so that's the next couple of slides, so thank you for your patience. So in the electric utility budget, the purchase power is a very material line item, 15.6 million. It's almost 50% of the operating expenses of 32 million. And we utilize rates for 97% of our operating revenues. There are other fees and things like that, but the rates for electricity are set in part to cover this cost. So it's a very material line item. The budget is based on 176,100 megawatt hours purchased at an average price of $88.67 per megawatt hour. These costs vary by month and for the year and the quarter based on temperatures, demand, usage, customer changes, types of weather we have, and I've shown that before in other presentations, the nature of our kWh usage. Then there's also demand that can spike when everything's on at the same time, those type of things. So there's also transmission costs that are part of this element as well. So we have what was new in 2024. So this is year 2 of the power cost adjustment. It's a new line item on the electric bills that can be a charge or a credit. And if the costs are running, our wholesale power costs are running higher than budgeted, it would be a charge established and calculated quarterly. And then if things are under running budget, it's a credit back to the customers. And this adds an element of cost variability to our customers' bills, but it also adds transparency. And it also allows us to true up things on a quarterly basis instead of every 2 years in the budget process. Specifically in the ordinance, if the fluctuation level is greater than 15%, the district's rate reserve would be factored into the calculations. Yeah, so I think I've covered most of this. I would like to point out that a lot of other utilities, both electric as well as other types of utilities, such as natural gas, have a similar item on some of their bills as well, other utilities throughout not only California, but the nation, probably the world. This item was, the PCA, Power Cost Adjustment, was introduced in 24, and particularly due to a need to draw on reserves due to the high volatility of power costs in 2022 and January of 2023. So we really started looking into this after experiencing that. Most all utilities particularly in California, experienced those problems then. So the history of the power cost adjustment, we've had 4 so far, and this would be the 5th one tonight we're considering for Q1 of 2025, as presented here on the screen. We've had mostly credits since established, which is, in my view, better than some charges, mostly charges. The subject matter this evening, Q1 of 2025, this on the far left is just for reference the first quarter of 2024. The center is the budget, as compared to the far right is the actual. And the actual power costs were $758,000 less than budget, and $866,000 was driven by the price variance, and then we were over budget by 2% in the quantity of megawatts that we purchased. So the net variance was $758,000. So specifically for the first quarter, on the far right here is $70.50 per megawatt versus a budget of $87.40. And so that's a 19.3 favorable variance in cost per megawatt hour, and that's why we're talking about a credit this evening. As I've mentioned before, there's quite a bit of moving parts and pieces to the power cost each quarter and each year. In particular, natural gas prices. And this is just a 10-year chart of the natural gas prices, spot market. And you can see the spike there in 2022 and January of 2023. And that's coming, that was in part the main reason why we ended up having to draw from reserves due to the high power costs then. I look back and the last 12 months when we were doing budget for the pool purchase power costs was averaged $130 per megawatt hour back when we were doing budget. So that's not a 3 or 5 year average, but that's what we were experiencing during the time that we were going through the budget process. So The specific calculation, the variance was $16.90 per megawatt. The amount that is greater than 15% is $3.79 per megawatt. That amounts to $194,000 that will go to rate reserves as recommended this evening. The net PCA is $13.11. Multiplied out by the megawatts purchased is 672,000 credit. And we have some true-ups, and that is in large part due to the previous credit included transmission and EIM credits from Sierra Pacific Power and NV Energy that it turns out are not accurate billings. And so we're working through that with Sierra Pacific Power and NV Energy to correct those billings. And so I have to factor that for November and December of 2024. We're also wrestling with that, and I have estimates in here for the first quarter. I have good estimates. I'm comfortable with them. But we have experienced billing problems with our partner there through transmission and EIM, and we think we've come to the bottom of what those problems were and do not anticipate that problem going forward, but we will certainly keep a very close watch on them for that. So that's part of the main reason for the true up there for the previous quarter amount. And so the net of 361,636 divided by the estimated KWH billings in June, July, and August of 2025 equates to a 0.0093 per kilowatt hour PCA. So this, in effect, for Q1, takes the average rate increase from 12% to 8.2%. And then looking forward, that's going to equate to about a $4.39 bill credit per month in the months of June, July, and August, of course, depending on the amount of KWH that the customer uses, but the average for those 3 months for the district is $4.72. The net effect of the PCA credit of 361 is to equalize the purchase power costs. So we experience much less in power cost, and so we're going to return part of our rate increase back to the customers to even things out, doing that on a quarterly basis. And then this calculation, the 361, is post the transfer of 194,329 to rate reserves, which is important to replenish that. And we will be addressing the replenishment of rate reserves again here soon when we go through the budget process, right? So we'll establish, I know it's in the staff report, what the balance is and stuff, but we'll reassess it. Are we going to continue with the 3-year plan? And what does the next quarter Q2's purchase power cost adjustment look like? I don't want to foreshadow too much, but I'm optimistic. But I do not know what the market will do for this quarter. But April's bill will be here, I think Friday. We'll get April's bill from UAMPS. But anyway. So recommendation this evening is to approve the power cost adjustment for 2025 Q1 of 0.0093 cent credit per kilowatt hour billed in June, July, and August of 2025. And with that, I'll turn it back over to President Finn. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have any public comment on this item this evening? Seeing none. Fellow board members, do we have any questions or comments on this item? Yes, Director Randall.
This is a good thing, but I realize that it's on the bill. It shows a credit, but the average person doesn't look at their bill. And so maybe this is addressed to Brian, but are we doing any public outreach to show the community? I think people generally go, oh, they raised the rates again, they raised the rates again. And I think it would be really important, to get an article in Moonshine, Sierra Sun, that type of thing, showing these types of things. It also speaks to the next item on scholarships too. These are the types of things, we should be touting ourselves. on these kinds of things, and especially on rates, because people generally think all it does is go up, 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 and there's no, so, anyway.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback, and we agree 100%. And we did some early outreach on educating the power cost adjustment with some social media information, web-based information, and I believe some mailers or email information. But you're absolutely correct. We should continue that because we all have short recall cycles where we start to forget what that line item is on our bill. And so, point well taken, we should definitely continue that more frequently.
You know, in years past, and I realize we don't mail much anymore, but there used to be like flyers of various events and things. Is there a way to put flyers and bills to kind of show that, or put it on the top of a bill, or just something where people will actually look at it, as opposed to, oh, I got a bill of $180, here's the check, boom, I'm done. So,
Yeah, there's definitely kind of multiple avenues we could take there. The overwhelming majority of our ratepayers now are doing paperless billing. And so, years ago, the flyers were a pretty significant cost, upwards of $10,000 to $20,000 per distribution. So the kind of the paperless world is really beneficial there, but I think there are electronic versions of what you're talking about that would be really effective, and definitely some paper card type media for those who still take, mailed U.S. mail, snail mail bills. So I think it's a great point, and staff will put that into action.
Thank you, Director Randall. Do we have any other director? Yeah, Director Morrell.
I have one too. That was exactly my question too, was to refresh my memory of how we communicate that on my bill. Even if it's something like a bold yellow on the electronic or something to highlight credit, some, the good news. And my favorite slide was the one with all the green and one red. That's my favorite slide, because that is good news. So I agree with what Steve was saying.
Thank you. Anyone? Were you pressing your?
I'll move staff's recommendation. No. Is that what you were looking for?
Yes, we're getting there. No, it's all good. I just wanted to echo the two of Director Morrell and Director Randall. That is, we do need the full court press. These sorts of evolutions are really positive, and you're very right that people only see they're raising rates again, truly. So, motion? Do you have a second?
Second.
Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Okay, great. Wow. My iPad turned itself off and okay, so we have moved on to our workshop item tonight. Item number 10, this is our Future Workforce Scholarship Fund recipients for college-bound seniors. We are going to receive a report on this. Looks like from Jillian.
Now I'm there. This says action item. This is actually a workshop item number 10, not action item, that's on the screen there, for Future Workforce Scholarship Fund. The district has a long history of service to our customers and community. We accomplish this through our dedicated board and staff by building a strong work culture where employees want to work and engaging with collaborative relationships with local schools and community organizations. Some examples of how we do that are through school field trips, job fairs, speaking in local classrooms, participating in tech teams, our seasonal jobs and internships and apprentice programs. The goal of this is to work with our local organizations and community to build a vibrant local workforce. The electric and water utility sectors have seen a dramatic changes over the last few decades, primarily driven by technology, the environment, and customer expectations. The need to recruit and retain top-level talent remains critical to achieving the district's missions. To face these challenges, staff utilizes a variety of tools. Examples of that are compensation and organizational assessment studies, participation in the Truckee Tahoe workforce housing, focus on organizational culture, focus on staff development, and we are continuing different conversations about upcoming challenges and new approaches to meet those challenges. For example, recent conversations have been centered around how to expand or grow your own program. We find that raising awareness about the important work that we do here at the district is critical in building out that local vibrant workforce and the careers that are associated with that important work and educating local community on that. We want to expand our efforts into more direct support into entering our industry. At the request of the board, staff researched and developed a new scholarship program for the district. Funds were included in the board-approved FY 24-25 budgets in the amount of about $40,000 per year. Staff identified Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation as the appropriate partner to manage our scholarship program, as they are the hub for local scholarships, supporting over 100 local agencies. Their familiarity with students seeking scholarships, low administration fees, and streamlined application process made them the right fit for the district. A little refresher of what our scholarship program entails. We have a 4-year technical degree in engineering, computer science, IT, environmental sciences, forestry, hydrology, or equivalent for $2,500 a year or $10,000 total. 1, 2, or 4-year degree in business, finance, economics, communications, marketing, HR, public administration, or equivalent for $2,500 a year, $5,000 to $10,000 total. The scholarship cycle runs from January through May. We also have several utility operations workforce scholarship options. However, that cycle runs May through July, so staff will bring back to the board later this summer to share those recipients. The board took action on January 15th at the board meeting to authorize the general manager to execute agreements with Tahoe Truckee Community Foundation to transfer board-approved budget funds. TTCF has completed the 2025 process for annual college scholarships awards for the district. We are excited to announce our recipients tonight. First up being Naomi Park for the 4-year technical degree award to study civil engineering at Cal Poly, and Zachary Harris for the 2 or 4-year degree was awarded to study actuarial studies at the University of San Francisco. TTCF will present these awards at the Truckee High School Scholarship Night on June 2nd at 6 p.m. Award recipients may sign up for a photo shoot. 2 district board members are invited to join staff for this photo shoot and the award ceremony. District board members are invited to present the scholarship award to our recipients. The fiscal impact, funding for the Truckee Donner PUD Future Workforce Scholarship Fund is approved in the FY25 budget for $41,200. Funding for FY26 and beyond will be considered in future district budgets, and any expenses incurred by TTCF to administer our program will be covered within the approved annual budgets. Recommendation tonight is for the board to receive this report and provide input to staff. It is also our understanding that President Finn already plans to attend the June 2nd ceremony and looking to invite another board member to join her.
May I comment on that? I'm actually going to be at that event. I have a senior at Truckee High School who's been invited to that event that night, so I will be there anyway. So I'm happy to take a photo on stage.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that presentation. It's an exciting time for the PUD. Do we have any public comment on that workshop item? No? Okay, so back to the board members. Do the board members have any other comments?
I just think this is awesome. So it's really exciting that it's a real amount of money that's going to help these students and get through college. And so wish them the best of luck and really happy that we're doing this. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's great. It also goes with my comment on the prior item, something we should be promoting. My question is, we're giving out a 4-year scholarship, is there any accountability in the second, third, and fourth year put into these scholarships? You know, students change their majors quite often at times, and so if they change their major, or do they still get these scholarships for the 4 years, or is there any accountability?
That's all managed through TTCF, and they have some mechanisms in place. I don't know offhand exactly what those were to kind of have check-ins and why it's given out in over the 4 years and not 10,000 up front.
I had that same, thank you. Do we have any other, Director Morrell or Director Laliotis?
Yeah, just congratulations to the two recipients, and I also want to thank TTCF for kind of spearheading this and going through this process of selecting and just a great community collaboration, you know, between us and them and two deserving candidates.
I echo that, and I want to say I do know each of these students, and so that's exciting for me to be able to be a part of this and present from, I'm part of the TDPUD. Yeah, they're really stellar kids, and it's, I just think it's really great for, in fact, I had a student today I was talking to, and he says, oh yeah, I went to the PUD and I presented with Rotary or something like that. I didn't quite know the collaboration, but kids are aware, and that, you know, that's where it starts, and they have a positive view of PUD. So I just want to share that.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, and staff, thank you for your report, and I echo all of those comments. So I don't need to add anything else. Okay. That's it. It's not it. We do have a closed session item, item number 11, closed session pursuant to government code, well, as presented on the agenda. So I'm going to close the regular meeting, and we're going to move ourselves into closed session. Thank you all for your attention tonight. We appreciate it.